HD. Usually when you come around over here, you can see you hook up here, the 492. You gotta make sure that you latch it on good and make sure it's adjusted. Sometimes the head will come off if they're not adjusted right. And you have a drive line on there, and it goes into there, it comes into this pressure plate, and then up to this canister. This one runs the pickup, and this one runs the auger. So if one or the other starts quitting, you know which one you got to look for. If your disc is getting bad, or if you smoke this up and it gets hot. A lot of times, if it sits a long time, you got to tighten these nuts up, and then hit it with a hammer a little bit, free everything up, and then back all these nuts back off again. And that'll keep all the discs free in there. So if it does have to flip, it can flip. Otherwise, it could be rusted shut, and it'll just not flip and break something all to pieces. Okay, from there it goes to the front here to the pickup with a chain. And you can change your style here. You got a sprocket here, a double sprocket. You pull the left pin, you pull it out, you turn it end for end, and you get maximum or minimum. And when you get off the field, you need to do is set it down and adjust the wheel and you're tight. You don't want it too low or taking dirt out. And it's a good thing to free these up, but these things here will all close up. I had to roll it in and get the springs out of here and heat this all up and get it all freed up so I can adjust the height. Then, we put it on here, we put some smooth, round-headed. You don't need to have tap head in there. Your grass will wrap in there. It was heavy grass, so we got rid of that by putting them in there. And then on your pickup here, a lot of them, like this one here, didn't have any ribbon sliding, but you can put ribbon sliding on the 3-gauge ribbon sliding, and you can cut it in half and then get it where you want it and mark it and freeze through all the holes, and then you bolt it on. That way when it wears out again, you can count the holes, cut it again, and put it back in. New piece in there. They do make replacement augers. Sliding. I got a printout of that. I think it's like $201 for one side and $201 for the other side. As long as your tube is good, then you can put a new piece in there and it'll go back in again. Okay, now the pickup, they're different. Pickup times on it. The outsides are all straight and the reverse so the grass won't get carried back in. Some people don't realize that. I see people put them on the other way, well, they don't really do any good because they're pulling the wrong way. All the ones in between are these kinds. The ones in the center, two here and here, are straight. Just the two here, one on each side of the center. Because these here are too wide and they'll rub on there. Why that's just the design. And then in here, the wear deflector plates here that go in there, you always have to build them up. They make replacements now. We used to have just welds, metal beds, and everything, but they're like $25, and all you have to do is cut the old ones out, and you just throw them back in there. That'll last for quite a few years. It's got 5 times more compared to 4. And then back they call it the cover cut because it has a different drive on it. It fits in there and it's slide. You don't have to get out of it. It's not, you can't last in the cab. That drive, that goes through here and it comes through here and there's a universal joint in here. Underneath, you got it up, you can see that you open it up, some people have you cut the hole bigger, and there is a grease zerk in there. And it goes from there, it goes into the gearbox now. The auger is a flex right in here. That bolts onto a shaft and a shaft, slides in, you lift the top off, and then you put this back on. It's like this. And it's just one clutch. I never heard really take these pails. I know some people had bought them and put them on their shelf just in case, so they have them on the farm. And from here it goes to the bottom, across over the pickup, which has the bevel plate for the pickup for here now, the clipping. If you get a sticker jammed in here and everything, they can split. Tearing everything up. It'll just stop and just start smoking. They come with in your tub, they'll come with different sprockets for different matchups for your cut and that. They got it here. Generally when they come, they're usually pretty well matched up. We never had much trouble with them. The wheels are a lot different than them. They're a lot nicer. Got more adjustment height. There's always been of a height to that. People set them for a roll, they hit the tines in the dirt all the time. The tines wear right out. You can see the dirt sticking up. These are nice. You can just pull this up like this, and lay it like this, and then you just fold this back down there, make it narrower going down the road. Then you got wheels, you can just, I think even, like I read in the book, that they have this here, it's hydraulic now too, so you don't even have to get out. When you get out in the field, you just hit hydraulic lever and that, and it pulls up automatically and back down. These are all replaceable in here now. All these floor pans. 2 bolts, 1, 2 here. This floor is replaceable. And it's a big table here. This big table, if it starts getting worn through, I'm going to put a couple new carry bolts, put that in there. Once it starts wearing into that frame, and I get into this frame, 2 bolts here hold that on. It fits down over. And 2 bolts right here, going up to the bottom. We had this guy said that the figure out he was rounding around and well, the bolts that come through. Put a block tire on them. And you put them in. And that way it won't round around and fall off. I was surprised it never fell off. It stayed in there. And then you got the marker here. John will tell you about the marker. The other one's got markers on it too. But this one here has nothing on it. This is red marker. When it's folded up, you can't see it. When it's folded, when it's down, you can see the marker will come up above it. Now, if you have trouble with your head, what I do is I check, when the modified brake penetrated and that, I usually check, this has been gone through, you check for slop, and if there is a lot of slop, then you know there's probably, you pull the covers off like I do there, and I can get in there and look a lot closer. But if there is bad, and you pull that chain off, what I do is I 5 bolts back through on the whole cam system right here, 2, 4, 5, and on the other side. Take all the strippers off first, and then you take a little floor jack, put one there, and then you slowly wheel it out, get it away from there, and then you can put it on the jack stand, but you gotta take the cams off. A lot of times, over here, I'll take like a cherry picker. I got a cherry picker, it's probably over to the building. When you pick it up, I'll leave one end on the jack stand, or on the jack, and then I'll just hook somewhere here, with a chain and a bolt, and hold it up while I work to get one of these off. Get the cam system off of there, and the bearing. Sometimes, if it'll move a little bit, you're all right, then you can get a puller on there. Sometimes you take these bolts out, and you get behind that pillow block. See, the bearings are way bigger on that newer style, too, if you notice. But now, when you get it out here, you have it laying here, and you got to take all them nylon, they call them flange bearings off. And then you take them all off, and in order to get it out of there, you got to go like this. And then the nylon the flange bearing goes back on there, a new one when you put it on there, and if you have a new sleeve on there. And the hardware is the main important thing. This hardware, see, some of these are really loose. That's because they're nylon and they're stainless. I know they use stainless bolts, and it don't seem to hold as much. You get these good crimp ones. The plastic always gets weathered and starts breaking down, and you can just physically just turn them by hand, they'll come loose. So it's a good thing to use the good hardware. This here is the Pro Head. It has 5 tines in it. It's a lot different design. You can take, you see the design, that whole tine bar, you can take, you take 1/2 of the side, 1/2 of the strippers off if you have a prop on one side. And then all you'd have to do, if you take the strippers off, you take like the 2 tines off or 1 tine off, then you can actually physically work it this way, up and out of there, out of that frame. As long as you have the flange bearings loose, and you just slide right out of there. It's pretty slick. I've worked on a couple of them already, and I thought it was pretty handy to get out of there if you only had a problem with half of one, instead of having to physically lift them up and out of there. Now I have some stuff on the table here I can show you. The difference between the tines. Tine bars anyway. Here are the flange bearings I was telling you about on each end of that. They get worn, you can see there's one all worn out there. But what you do is you have to physically, these will be on here like this. This will be on, and this ring will be on, and your cam deal, and your washer will be on there too, over top. Behind that, the washer goes behind your flange. Behind your flange there, there's one on each end. So what you do is you take, I'll heat this up with a torch, and get my screwdriver or something and pop that, and it'll bend, it'll come off. Then I'll take a torch and just torch right along there, kind of blow it. If you have to nick it a bit, that's fine. You can just take a file to it. But you can take a screwdriver in here and then pop that, and it'll just pop right off of there. And you put your new one on, you clean that up a little bit, and then I use a rubber hammer and pop it back on. Sometimes a little punch to get it on all the way, and put your circuit clip back on. And make sure you put your washer on too. And these, they have little snap rings that are on there too. I actually made a tool. I got tired of trying to beat these things off, but I made a tool that I can physically just put that on there and pull them off. I just put it on here like this. I have the snap ring off. I use a piece of pipe on here, and I use a crescent wrench. I hold it, and I just turn it. Once it cracks, then it goes pretty easy. I can just pull this thing right up out of there. I had to modify it a little bit to get it over there. But then in the center, in the same way, they have there's a flange bearing here, and this is the one in the center. It's totally different. That one here, 2 outside ones are the same, this one's different. Okay, now, this thing here goes in here. You drive that in, and this sleeve actually goes on here. You'll have to do the same thing like I said on that end when you cut them. And you clean that up, put a little bit of grease on there, and you hit it with your rubber hammer, and then you put this thing back on. And then you put this in, rubber hammer. Sometimes I'll take a grinder and grind that a little bit. Pop that in there good and hard. But then now on the Pro, you can see the shape of the bar here. It's just like them slots on that frame where it rides. These things are a lot different. See, this one came, they call these a crank. That's what's on the new Pro Head. See, this one came with it. I ordered one and I didn't realize it came with them. I think the last time I ordered one of these, I didn't have one somewhere. But they fit on there, and they got a keyway, and you put a key in there, and you pound that in, and then you got, it's supposed to be 2 roll pins, one smaller one that goes inside there. You put your key in there, you put that on, and you can just pop that in. Now it's good to put a little anti-seize or something on there so you can get it off next time. You know, if you have to pull it, you've got enough room here to put a puller on, see? A little puller.
6-inch force, and you can pull these physically out if they get frozen on there. The bearing, the cam bearing is a lot bigger compared to the old ones here. I mean the small older model. All the bearings are the same size. All the bearings, all 3 of them. 1, 2, 3, all 3 ends. This one, you just crank. You buy a crank, you can put it on this end of the shaft, or you can go over on that end and put it on that end. You don't have to buy left or right. It's just all one. Once you got that key lined up, that keeps everything in time, and keeps everything in time over there. Now, another deal, these bearings, you get them now, they're all capped off. They're not, even the new ones you buy now for the older heads will not come with them zerks in there anymore. They said you don't need to grease on them. Mostly because I think a lot of times it depends on the condition, where you live, like Texas or Eastern Washington, where there's a lot of sand. You get sand in there, then you have to grease it more to get the dirt out. But it's more aggressive. That sand in there just eat these things right up. And this has got kind of like a molly, kind of graphite in it that with the metal it'll last. I found out that I worked on one of these tow heads, and what happened is I had to, we had really bad floppy bearings. I grabbed it and I wiggled it, and I go, boy, that don't feel good. So he said, well, why don't you check it out? Well, I pulled it all apart. These were all okay on the end, and in here, they were all fine. The only trouble was I had to just replace the little bearings and all. Because once I got a new bearing, and I checked it out, I had these off, and I pulled these off, and I checked, I put a new bearing in there, a new nylon flange bearing, and I put that on there, I go, gee, that's nice and tight now. The other one, there was, oh man, there was dang near, 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch gap in it. So I knew that was bad. I mean, you could almost go like that. So I knew that had to be, so this piece here would probably last twice as long as this, as this. So you can replace 2 of these, and then you have to replace these. About these here, there's no circle clips on this. The only thing you got to mess with on this end would be a snap ring. The bolts are bigger, the bolt bearings on stuff. And when you got everything off, this is on that older 300, they have a chain on there. This one here, there's a sprocket with an idler, and it has a spring on it. And all you have to do is, if you hear a lot of noise, maybe the spring broke or something, but it should be, it'll have the right tension on all the time. You just hook it up. Sometimes it can be kind of hard to hook up. I've been up front. The other one, you don't check on them. This one didn't go all the way through yet, but I've seen them come all the way through and halfway into this nut and stuff in here, and into the metal bracket it's bolted to. Now, if you happen to bend one of these, or snap one off, I've had a couple of them that got a stick in there and snapped it off where the bearing went out and it got in a bind. The bar is like $425. And if you're in the middle of the season, don't throw the thing away. If you like to play with a welder in the winter time or something, you just take this, they sell just this piece here to weld on. Kind of like this, we have a piece of this end here. You just weld that on, and you cut it to match the other one, and you just weld that on. It's pretty easy to tell where it's at. This here would be a flat surface, so all you know is you just gotta have it on the flat surface there like that, and you just tack it, and you can hold it next to another one, or just, it's not real critical, but you gotta have it pretty close. And that will save you a lot of money. If you have, just save it as long as it's in good shape, weld a new end on here, and then keep it in your shop, and then if you ever have a problem again, you'll have a spare one, then you can work on the other one when you have time to work on it. And that way you're never down for a long time waiting for parts. I think this part here is $67 for this piece right here. Like I said, the tine bar itself is $425.86. These things are only, like I said, 25 bucks and 14 cents. The wheels, see them wheels underneath there, John will be talking about the float and the contour. See how small that one is? And this one over here is quite a bit larger. Everything's been beefed. It's like they put it on steroids or whatever. But see, the older ones here, if you don't watch them, I've seen these things freeze up, and they also just eat right through. The guys don't notice them. You look at it, when I get a head in here from the box, I go, that don't look right. You look at it, take something like that, lift it up, this thing will be ate all the way down, or half that bolt will be gone.
That's this roller right here.
Yeah, and then the cams, when you get the cam, you should check them out. So you see this one's got 1/8 of an inch or more wear in there. And you just put that right back on again with new bearing. Every time I take something apart and work on it, I replace, if the these are bad, I replace them, you know. Especially if you got it apart, I replace all the cam bearings, make sure the cams are in decent shape. All the bearings, cam bearings for sure, and you check your tines. It's easier to put them on when it's in your vise. You know, you good bolt, and you put them on there. You can use your gun on there and have an Allen and tighten it up good and tight, and you don't have to worry about it. The cams, I keep, you know, the housing is usually pretty good. I'll take the housing. I'll pop the bearings, they come out, and I put a new bearing in. I'll put a new bearing on each end, all new cam bearing, and I always check all the flange bearings. I mean, I gotta make sure it works right, because the boss sells the stuff. He gives them a year warranty. And if it breaks down, I want it to come back to me, and I don't want to get in trouble. He said, I thought you work on that thing. I said, yeah. And then I let him make the decision. You know, if he wants to fix it, it's up to him then. We don't want to spend that money, well, I'm not going to take chances. And your stripper, when I take them off the machine, I usually take them off, I look at them, I take all the bottom bolts off first. When I take them, I throw them out. This one looks a little bad, I'll throw them. Then later on, before I put them on, I'll look at them. A lot of times they'll get twisted when you take them off. I'll straighten them, I'll double check them, I'll say, oh, that was no good, I'll get a different, order a bunch more. And you don't want to leave strippers like that on there, because the grass is coming up with time, and pretty soon the grass is catching on there. Pretty soon you got a big mound of grass, especially if it's in the center. You got a big wad of grass sitting there, and the feed can't get in there. Nice and smooth. Anybody got any questions? That's good.
You saying it's my turn?
Oh yeah, it's me your turn, I guess. Now you need to work on the head. John does pretty good with the contour or float. It's called float. Yeah.
Not good with this microphone, especially earbuds.
I don't care much for it either.
Okay, now we're going to talk about contour. And to explain a little bit what contour is is like float in your loader tractor. When you push the lever all the way forward in the float, except that it's active. It's because it senses the hydraulic pressure on the lift cylinders. Now I'll help you guys with one question on your test, and that's one of them. It senses the hydraulic pressure in the lift cylinders. So it's an active float. So Klaus likes to call it contour. We've in the past made it simpler by calling it float. But it's a little different in your loader tractor. These heads, unlike some of the competitors, have suspension built into them. And the beauty of it is, it's kind of like taking a half-ton pickup and putting 1,000 pounds in. Yeah, it weights it down a bit, but it lets it float over the hills and valleys versus some of the other competitors that has no suspension, and you're just forcing a lot of weight down onto the ground. As Butch talked about, there is a indicator here, and when we go outside, I'll show you what that is used for. Let's go outside for a bit now. I have some things to show you out there. Butch? Turn the sound up. Let's start over here. Gather around this side, guys. On a 492 machine, applies to 492s mostly. If you have a 494, it won't apply. There is a heavy light load selector valve down here. It has to be on the light load side for your grass head and for contour to work. If it's not on the light side, contour will try to work. That is, if it's on the corn side, it'll try to work, but it'll just keep hunting. It can't find itself. It's sensing, it senses pressure, and the corn head side of it is set up for a lot more weight, and that's why it won't work properly. You set this with the head completely down, no hydraulic pressure on it, machine shut off. You lift this valve up and slide it forward or backward. This knurled knob up here is for setting your rate of drop speed. So if your head goes down too fast or too slow, that's what you adjust there. Now, let's come around to the other side over here. Actually, front first. One of the first things you want to set when you're out in the field is your pickup teeth height. Now, what I'm doing right now, I've actually pushed all the weight down onto this head. This head itself weighs 2,600 pounds, and on my scale system in there, presently I'm pushing 2,500 pounds down on it. So it's actually shoved it down further than I really want it. But so the teeth are closer to the ground than they really should be. You should, anyway, when you start out in the field, especially in the springtime, check your tire pressure like Butch said, and then set your pickup teeth height by setting your gauge wheels. And that's done over here. Once you have that done, you've kind of got the basis done for setting up contour. One other couple of points to watch over here on this side. Come around this side. When this head is set properly, this puck will be in the center of this slot. Presently it's not, it's way down on the bottom. And also this roller should ideally run right in the middle of this valley right in here. This valley extends all the way out to here, goes out to here. It should be right in the middle. And actually, we'll show you when I get inside, but when you push this head down this hard and this far, since it rocks up on this ramp here, it actually raises the auger up, and the distance between the auger and the floor increases, so it won't feed that well. Come to this side over now. Same idea, same roller, but I've actually marked it with tape here so that when we sit inside we can see where ideally you would like to run it. The indicator we're talking about is back here. Now that this thing is pushed down so hard, it's not lined up. This is the mark that I made sitting in the cab when this head was set in the proper position. the mark is right here, the indicator is right here. You can see how far off that is. When we sell you a head, we used to mark it and put a piece of tape on here. We don't do that anymore. And the reason for that is that there are things that can vary. Tire size of your chopper can vary, ground conditions, whatever. This is something that you as an operator need to set, sitting in a seat, get somebody to help you, because these two marks may not always line up. It's what you see from up there at this angle that you line up, and it's only a reference point. As you're going through the dips and the valleys, this will change. It'll float, and that's what this is for. Any questions, comments? Okay, let's go inside. I'll fire this thing up. We can play with it in there. One more point, guys. Before you try to set contour, you have to have the machine running, of course, obviously, but the cutter head has to be running. The contour is not activated unless the cutter head is running. As you can see, this head weighs 2,640 pounds. Right now, I'm nearly at that point on the scale system, because it's pushed all the way down, way further than it should be. So, we pick it up, we get it about to where it should be, is 800 pounds. There's a lot of difference. Those small little gauge wheels you see here are not carrying near as much weight. And then you're not as likely to have this happen. So now, how do I activate contour? Once the machine is running, the cutter head is engaged. All I got to do is use the left and the right side of the button instead of using the top and bottom. I can chop and I can get the job done using the top and the bottom of the button. But what will happen is I'll have to, as I call it, babysit all the time, because the head won't know when I go through a dip or come up a hill, that sort of thing. The beauty of the contour system is you use the sides of the button down there. It's set all by itself. As you can see, it's pretty close to being where it needs to be. Now to raise it up, use the right side of the button. And you picked it up off the ground. You're at the end of the row. You're going to turn around. You're going to go back into the windrow now. Back to the left side of the button. There it is. One less thing that you've got to do as an operator. You've got a lot of other things. You're watching the truck, you're watching your dump wagon, whatever you use. And this system takes care of it for you. You don't have to guessing. Well, did I put the head in, or did I push it down too hard? Am I in the dirt, or am I in the grass behind? That's the beauty of this system. It takes care of it for you. Yeah. As you can see, the weight that's put on the wheels is not nearly what it is if I have to shut it down to the bottom. lot easier on the machine. It's a lot easier on the operator. Once you get working right and figure out how to use it, it makes everybody's life easier. The guy that was in the previous class, he said his didn't work for half a day. He said by the end of the day, it's like he was done. He was wore out. You know, this makes his life as an operator a lot easier. The other thing is too, when you, let's say you're chopping, you come to the end of the window, now you pick it up, and you've only picked it up, you can, however you want to set it, 4 off the ground, 10 inches off the ground, instead of it slammed all the way to the top, and you didn't realize that. You didn't need to have to do that, you didn't need to have a strain on the equipment, moving like that. There again, easier on the operator than easier on the machine. So, who would like to learn how to set it up? Who would like to pick on first? Kyle, why don't you give it a try? You're probably an old habit. Kyle runs the 494, but this is all the same. This is different. The principle of this is all the same. But as I do for everybody here, I'm going to make it a bit more difficult. So we're going to set up. Okay, we're already down. Say you want to go up, so you press the right side of the button. But now, get right down. Guys, you can actually, if you get these knobs in the wrong position, you can actually get this system so it's crossed. It does the opposite thing you think it should. Say some little kid got into copycat or whatever, play the long knobs, and it's actually backwards. And the reason is because the top side function is turned all the way down presently. So, first thing let's do is turn that one back up to get it 8 or 10 inches off the ground, however you like it to come to the end of the road. There you go. Now I want to go down. So go to the left side of the button. Here again, it's looking backwards. So you've got to adjust that to get it down and get it to where the roller is roughly in the center of my 2 marks, which is usually about 800 pounds. We have an extra tool that you guys won't have, and that's the scale system. There you go. Passed. Felipe, you want to give it a try? Here again. Okay. Just down. Okay. Left side, go down, push it once. Yeah, it's all mixed up. It's all confused. The side that's activated, that has the light on, is the one that was functioning presently. You can actually adjust these on the fly, but the only one that's going to respond immediately is the one that's activated. Next time you press the function for the other side, it will go to where you have it set. Now he's got the bottom side right. Now you adjust the top. What I call the top or the end of the row position. Somewhere right in there. Give it a final test, just for the fun of it. Go on the left side of the button one time. Now to the right side, one time. Also, those heights will correspond on your dash. Whether you have a 492 machine or 494 machine, they correspond here as well. It means nothing other than it's just a reference. It doesn't tell you hydraulic pressure or any of that. It's just a reference. So if you like to run this, if you like to run on the downside, if you like to run an 8, that's just something you remember, that's about where I like to run it. So that is a reference, but also that marker on the side is a reference. And if you can't remember which side is which, Ross uses these symbols, a little bit confusing. The way I understand it is that the downside, they have this header symbol with this squiggly line underneath it, kind of like the field that isn't exactly smooth. That is the downside. And the other side would show, which is the flat line, but that's the upside. Remember the downside. You get that one right, you figure out the next one. Terry, give her a try. First, I made it easy. Notice also, guys, when I use the up or the down button, I don't have any lights on here. When I've kicked the contour off, and what I'm saying, what I'm telling you by that is if you go through a wet spot and you just want to get the up or down side of it, and you're chopping along, and the head doesn't seem to be working right. Well, you kick the system off, and you need to activate either on either side. It's back on, it's back where you set it. Now here's got it set right, and Terry's going to fix that. Yep, there you go. One time on that side. Actually, you pass. Done good. Deal. I want to make sure at least one of the local guys is out there. You're trying to avoid it? All the worries. Okay, we're already down, so take the upside. What I call the upside. Yeah, he doesn't like it because this is all messed up. We'll pick it up off the ground like we're coming in. However you like. Actually go to this side. The left side. Yeah, see, that's all messed up too. Now you guys, Dale runs a 494, and so this part here is different, and this part here is different. This is the same. So we'll give him a 494 handout, so he knows how to go into CBIS, as they call it, in 494, and set it up through CBIS. Same principle, same control, hand control. This is different. Well, give it a try. We're going to tell to teach you how to do all this.
Yeah, no, I've never even run it.
Okay.
All I gotta do is twist the mold.
Well, all we're doing is just count this over. Okay, we're already down, so we're going to hit the upside to the right side of the button. Okay, get specified. It's all mixed up. So you can fix it. There you go. Okay, now left side, which is the left side button. Yeah, it's all messed up too. We'll fix that too. Yep, there you go. Yep, take it back up and get that. Go back down. It actually has 2 preset heights on each side. But to keep it simple, for what we're showing here with the grass head, we're only showing using 1 preset height. The other preset heights are used for the one head and they're only on the left side of the button. I covered that in my handout. I don't want to get guys too confused here. Explaining 2 different systems. Anyway, we'll pass. Chris. Let's see if the plumber's around here, right? It's about figured out. One more time for the front of it. Another thing, guys, just thinking to show you, if you push it all the way down, if we get past our normal 700 or 800 pounds, if you push it all the way down, watch how the auger actually moves up, pushes up, the auger pushes up. So then, by forcing this head down to get that last little bit of grass, when your gauge wheels aren't adjusted right, you're actually causing the head to not feed properly and put a lot of weight on it. Anybody else like to give it a try? Don't be bashful. We got time. Dan, you might as well. I know that I've taught you before, and I think you probably got a pretty good idea.
So can I try something on this?
First, get it fixed right.
One thing that I've noticed is once you set it the first time, you almost got to go back and set it again.
Yeah.
Because it won't come back exactly. It takes you 2 or 3 times to really get it.
The comment that Dan has is that once you set it the first time, you've almost got to go back the second time and fine tune it a little bit, because it doesn't seem like it goes exactly back to where you thought. It's close, but not quite on.
So it's pretty close right there. It's about that.
Yeah. So what would you like to try?
Well, this is something that I thought worked on a 494. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if you set 494.
494. I don't
For
think
the 492, it does the same thing. Middle.
so. You're setting a stop.
Yep.
You can set 2 stops on each side of the button.
Okay. So is that a second stop then?
Basically, like on the left side of the button is what we use for a corn head.
Yeah. Okay.
The cover keeps in the cab of the system.
Yeah.
Let's say we're running a corn head. Now that's a different kind of contour, so to speak. We don't have any ground pressure.
We're not floating the head on the ground. We're holding it at a height.
You're holding it at a height. And so that's,
Go the opposite way.
you actually use only one side of the button. Use that. And then hit it again. And set a stop for that.
Because what I do when I'm on with a corn head, I set this side for my height. And that's my raise. That's my go up. Am I doing that right? Does that sound right?
I think you're right.
That's how I do it.
Give this hand out.
And if I'm doing it wrong, it's going to be hard to teach me the other way. That's how I know.
You're right. It is the right side of the button.
Because you use this side for a corn head.
Yeah. Because Dan has a good point. And that's why we have customers like him come to teach us as well. The left side of the button is sensing ground pressure. That's why, here again, when in doubt, look at the squiggly line underneath, the sensing ground pressure. So for your corn head, I should have read my handout for the last 2 years. You're using the right side of the button for both heights, for your down height and also for your up height at the end of the rope. On the right side, you're only using the right side. It's got 2 preset. You set 2 preset heights in it.
Correct.
So let's see if they're still applicable. And it may not work right with the gas head.
Because when you change that valve, it
Yes.
changes some other things.
If we had a 380 head on it, it would probably work. Heavy enough to activate. Well,
Yep.
it's kind of,
Yep, it's
it's kind of
working.
like it.
Also, they do on the website, float the highest it'll go.
Yeah.
That's
So,
correct.
so for a corn head, it won't raise it up off the ground very high.
Yeah.
50%. You want to be about 75
Yeah.
to get it up to go around the corner. That's why you use the right side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris is talking about this, the percentages. And with a 492 system like this, we don't see the percentages. But see this in a 494 system, you see the percentages. So anyway, it's not going to show up on here. On this graph, all it is we've got bars, we've got 0 to 20, and it's just a reference to all this. That's one little difference. For the 494 guys and the 492, we have the handles, how to set it. Who would like a handout? This is very handy to have in the chopper. We need a 494.
You gotta set the end stops, learn the end stops before you set all that.
Yeah. Jason had a good point, and that's covered in the handout. I didn't really want to get into that. I tried to not make it too confusing. But part of the setting up procedure when you change heads from a corn head to a grass head is learning the end stops. It's covered in here, and it's covered in here as well. If your contour system does not work right, go and do that. We've had quite a bit of success in that. 494. Oh, one of each? Or you have one of each? Okay. Now you guys have one.